Hi there, my name is Nils with Learn to DIY, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to take out your old light fixture and replace it with a brand new one. Now, one of the main reasons I wanted to show this was because this is something that's sometimes intimidating for people, but it is actually a fairly simple project. I'll show you how to do this safely and with no risk to you, with the power off, and then I'll also show you that this doesn't require much as far as tools are concerned. Pretty much you'll just need some pliers, a screwdriver, and maybe some wire strippers depending on your scenario. So let's go ahead and jump in and see what's involved in this project. Now, because I'm upgrading this one that we've got here, the first thing we're going to do is show you how to remove this. It's actually pretty simple, and just like with any situation with the electrical work, we have to start with turning off the power at the circuit breaker. So the way you remove your light will depend on the fixture that you've got. In my case here, I've got a flange and then what appears to be just a little fastener nut right here that will take it off this threaded nipple. Thread that, and that should allow this to come off, and we can see what's inside. So basically I've got a threaded nipple here, I've got a receiving thread here, and then my wires are coming up and going right through into the wiring up there. So I'm going to start by removing this. And again, this will vary with each install. Yours might look different than this. Okay, so that's out. Now I'm going to pull my wires out and unconnect them. And hopefully, if you're lucky, you've got clearly identified wires. Like here, I've got a black wire, which is my positive. So I'm going to undo that. Then I've got a white over here, which is my neutral. Undo that. And a bare wire, copper wire, which is the ground. Alright, so now, if I disconnect these from one another, I should actually be able to pull the whole thing down and right out. The ground is definitely wound up in there. I'm going to try to get that undone. There we go. Okay, and off it goes. Alright, next we're going to open up our new light and see what we've got here. Now, every fixture is going to be a little bit different. So the wiring that we have on here is actually going to be the most consistent part. We have positive to positive, we have neutral to neutral, and ground to ground. And then the mounting hardware is what's going to vary. So in my case, I'm just going to do a little bit more setup on this particular fixture so that it's ready to go, and then I'll show you the part that really is the same no matter what fixture you choose. Now, if there is a chain involved in your light fixture, you can usually adjust those pretty easily with some pliers. A couple of pairs will make life a lot easier. You can just grab onto one side with one pair and then open it up with the other. Just a little twisting motion like that, and then you're all set. Then just go in the opposite direction to close it. Now, as far as prep on this one, with the chains in place, we can now feed through the wiring and then the security cable here, which is, I think, also may act as a ground. So I went ahead and snipped this to an appropriate length, basically the chain plus several inches, so that I don't have too much sitting up there. I'm just going to feed these guys through the chain itself. I like to do every other, so I'm going to skip this, the first one here, and go right to the second one, and that helps them all be facing the same direction. Next up, I'm going to secure the anchor cable on my fixture to the ground wire screw up here. I'm not sure if you can see it because this nipple might be in the way, but there's a little green ground wire. I'm going to release that, and then just use it for the anchor wire. Now basically this is doing two things. One, it's going to secure the harness here to the actual unit so that if there's no wiring, the whole unit can hang, the whole fixture can hang off of this wire. You don't really want to experiment too much with that, but that's an option. And then I can also connect my ground to that, since that is the ground fixture, as well as put it to the ground that's coming out of the Romex cable from the junction box. Alright, so we're ready at this point to connect our electricity. So I've got my grounds here that we just looked at. I'm going to put those together with the wire cap. And then coming out of the wires here, I've got two cables. Now this is really tricky sometimes to understand which one is positive and which one is neutral. They look nearly identical. They're both silver, they're both the same color, and as I run my fingers along them, they both feel the same. But what you'll notice is if you run your fingers along the outside, if you spin it in your fingers, one of them will be smooth and one of them will be ridged. So the ribbed or ridged one, that's going to be your neutral or your white wire. So I'm going to connect this one, in this case, over to here, and we'll cap those together. And your ideal here is to get those to where they twist around each other inside the wire cap, and they're both very snug, so you can't pull on either one of them and get any slack. And then we'll connect our two positives together. Same goal here, get it nice and snug and great contact on those wires. Now with my wiring all set up and then with my safety harness on there, I think we're all set to go ahead and mount the fixture to the ceiling. And one thing you'll notice is I never took out the old plate here with the threaded nipple in the middle. The reason I didn't do that is because the one that comes with it here is really the exact same one. The only difference here is I just had to check to make sure that this end cap fits on here. And it does, and that thread's on there just as expected. So I'm just going to leave all of that in there and not bother replacing that because this is in good shape and it's totally usable. The one thing I don't know is what the depth of this ought to be, so we can measure that, but I'm just going to test fit it and see how it goes. All right, so next we're going to take the whole thing, make sure the wires are seated inside the plate and that the rod comes right through this hole in the middle. Good. Then we'll thread it on and see if we've got a good fit. Oh, good. Okay, I'll make sure that's straight. Nice and tight. Okay. And there we go. All right, now last off, with our fixture in place, last but not least, we're going to take care of the light bulbs themselves, and then we'll flip the circuit breaker back on, turn the light switch on, and make sure everything's working as expected. So I wanted to go with something a little bit nice that will complement this, so I went with these Edison LED bulbs. These are actually a daylight temperature, so they're a nice bright white. And I'll thread these in, all 5, and then we'll test out and make sure everything's working as expected. Now if you like the look of this light fixture or these bulbs or anything that I've used, the tools or anything else in this video, if you'll click the links in the description below, I've got some Amazon affiliate links where you can purchase these items on Amazon.com and have them shipped right to your house. It doesn't cost you any extra, but by using those affiliate links in the description, it does help our channel out just a little bit. Ta-da! Now, as I mentioned before, links to all of the products used in this video are in the description below, so be sure to check those out. And if you've got questions, comments, maybe some hints or tips, we'd love for you to leave those in the comment section below. Now, putting the fixture in is a great start, but one thing that makes this so much nicer is if you can use a Wi-Fi smart light switch to control it. You can use that to control it with your voice, with the Echo Dot system or Google Home or Apple HomeKit, anything like that. So be sure to check out my other videos on how to put in a smart light switch for either a single pole or a 3-way light switch, as well as my video on some things that I've learned from doing smart home installations all throughout my house. So hopefully you can take a look at these videos and find something that you like.